I love Thank you for joining us for Mindfulness Matters. This is class number 3 of 4. So this is the second to last class. Again, my name is Nick Tinnen. I'm an on-site health educator in the Jacksonville Wellness Office, where today we're going to be talking about mindfulness, meditation, and some stress management strategies that we can talk about. Now, I know last week we brought up gratitude, and I'd love to hear in the chat. You don't have to share specifics, but as I go throughout the presentation, how the gratitude journal is going, if you've been keeping up with it, if you see any benefits from it, maybe if some of you have written your letter of gratitude to another, feel free to bounce ideas off each other, because I would love it to be a collaborative class, something that we can kind of bounce ideas off each other, some better practices that we can implement throughout mindfulness, because gratitude is obviously just one component. So we're going to look at a much broader context of mindfulness and look at some different strategies that may help us with our eating, with our sleep, with our physical activities. Because remember, as I've harped over and over again in this course, mindfulness is really that whole body, whole health approach, not just the mental health aspect or the stress aspect. We'll talk about mindful eating, and we'll talk about some practices, some mindfulness practices that may help you fall asleep easier at night. And things and some mindful practices that could help you reach your physical activity goals as well. So as a reminder, the program requirements, if as long as you are enrolled and you registered, you have completed that pre-survey, but there will be a post-survey at the end of next week that you'll complete. It will be anonymous. You can evaluate the course as well as answer some of the same questions that you did at the beginning of the program. You'll also be asked, you're being asked to complete a post-class assessment. So remember, I know I've said this multiple times, but just remember that in order to get attendance for each class, we take that post-class assessment as your attendance. So if you're not getting that post-class assessment, if you're not completing that, we have no idea whether or not you are actually watching the webinar either live or on demand. So just be cognizant of that and make sure to complete each post-class assessment. And if you're unable to watch it live, we do record it, and we will send a copy of this presentation, as we have with all of our other presentations, and a link to complete the assessment after the class. Also remember to keep and update your daily gratitude journal. So you will not be asked to turn this in. Obviously, it's confidential, but just keep up with it. You're going to reap the full benefits of gratitude as a component of mindfulness, as long as you keep practicing. And that goes with any aspect of mindfulness. The more we practice, the more it becomes habitual, and the more it becomes a ritual in our life that we can really see the rewards from. And then if you complete all that, for my Jacksonville folks, either UFJPI or UF Health Jacksonville, you'll receive 100 points towards your wellness credit, and we'll upload those points. For my Gainesville folks, this is a rewardable activity. If you participate in your wellness programs, it will be rewardable for next year. But you may want to check with your Gainesville Wellness Office to see exactly when you can self-report this for those points. So I just wanted to go over the program required one more time, just so you have a nice refresher before we begin today's class. So looking forward to today, we're going to try to gain a better understanding of different mindfulness strategies. So like I said, we're going to bring a lot of different strategies and try to talk about all the different aspects of mindfulness, and try to get through it all today. You also learn to apply useful stress management techniques, including meditation, which is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. So we'll do a little guided meditation towards the end of this program as well. And you'll also be I'm joined with John Bredenberg, who is our employee wellness manager here in the Jacksonville office, as well as a dietitian. So he'll be talking about mindful eating behaviors and how we can use mindfulness when we're just sitting down and eating our meals. So that is something that is very useful, something I know I need practice on. So John will join us today to go over that as well. Now, before we begin, I just want to go back over stress from the first class. Now, remember, stress is that physical, mental, or emotional factor that can cause us bodily or mental tension. So remember that stress can vary from person to person. So what may be stressful to you may not be stressful to another person. So the example I used in the first class, remember, is the roller coaster. I find it terrifying, stressful, no desire to be on it. Other people find it exhilarating, fun. So as we are being mindful in our conversations and our interactions with one another, remember that something may be stressful to you, but the other person may not understand that, and vice versa. So just be cognizant of that through our day to day. And remember, our stressors can be internal or external. The external ones, remember, are a lot harder for us to control. Those are things like job stress, financial stress, major life changes that may have death of loved ones. Those are things that are harder for us to control, while our internal stressors are things that are within our power to control. That's that negative self-talk that we may give ourselves, the need to be always need to be perfect, even though no one's perfect, setting those lofty expectations or ruminating in negative thoughts. Those sources are internal stressors that we can control. And that's where mindfulness really takes into your control, into your power to help with your life. And remember, stress and anxiety do mean two different things, although they share a lot of the same physical symptoms. Remember, stress can be linked back to one of those stressors we talked about, either external or internal. And anxiety is this persistent underlying feeling it doesn't have to have that stressor present. So even in the absence of a stressor, anxiety can persist. And the idea here is that the physical impact of stress can take a huge toll on our body. Remember, it's the difference between acute and chronic. Acute would be a situation that maybe a bear charges into your office right now. Your body is going to enter that fight, flight, or freeze response where your breath's going to quicken. You're going to have stronger contractions of the heart muscle. You're going to have a surge of adrenaline, and really get you prepared for that stressful situation. But after that event is over, you're able to recover. It's that chronic stress that can be really detrimental to our health and our body. Our body's just stewing in that cocktail of hormones, so it's never able to really fully recover and return back to stasis. And obviously that hurts us because that leads us to increased breathing issues, increased risk of stroke and heart disease, all things that we want to try to avoid. So when we look at mindfulness and stress management activities, we're going to look at ways to help with that chronic stress and help our body return to normal. So some of those stress management strategies that we are going to talk about is getting active. Exercise and physical activity actually has the opposite effect that the stress has on the body. So it's the opposite effect that the stress effect has. So you have the surge of hormones that feel good hormones, right? So it increases your mood, it boosts your energy. Also writing down your stress management strategies. So things that stress you in your life, just like we talked about with the gratitude journal, where I mentioned some of the things examples that you can use for entries could be maybe some roadblocks that you're facing either in your work or your life, and what positive things you can take out of those, or people in your life that you find difficult to deal with, and some characteristic that you find redeeming within them. So writing down our stress management or our stressors in life and things that cause us stress is a great stress management strategy. Also connecting with your friends or family or seeking counseling. We'll go over some of the counseling options available to you in the next class as well for free. That is free to you as a UF Health employee, as well as if you have Gator Care, there's some other options as well. Also getting more sleep. We'll be going over a strategy today that is extremely helpful if we have problems sleeping at night, especially falling asleep. Sleep is very crucial to our health, and practicing mindfulness, you're less likely to be able to practice it proficiently if you haven't had a full night's sleep, if you're restless. Remember, our attention span's a little less. It's harder for us to focus. We tend to get stressed and irritable a lot quicker than normal. So we're aiming to try to get the 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night as an adult. Also unplug. We spend our days at work staring at computer screens. We go and looking at our phone. We go home, what do? We look at our phone and our TV, screen. So a lot of that can cause us stress. So we're going to look at ways we can unplug, get away from those electronics, get away from those screens. And really also we're going to look at practicing that mindfulness as we talked about, but in the deep breathing aspect. So we're going to go over a guided meditation. I'm going to do a guided meditation with you all at the end of this class. So as a reminder, mindfulness, remember, is that basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. So remember that latter part of that definition, really crucial, not being reactive, not being overwhelmed. So while you are immersed in the present moment, you're not stressed out about everything that's going on around you. You're just taking it in and being fully aware and present in the moment. So Jon Kabat-Zinn, I think, sums up mindfulness very well. It says the best way to capture moments is to pay attention. This is how we cultivate mindfulness, right? It's just paying attention. You heard me mention in the first class, I love mindfulness because it doesn't require a gym membership. It doesn't require you to order hundreds of dollars worth of equipment. It doesn't require a subscription. It literally only requires yourself and your ability to practice mindfulness. So you have that power, you have that control. It's something that we are able to utilize ourselves and really improve our health in our life. So the best way to capture moments is just to pay attention. And that's how we cultivate that mindfulness. So the first aspect of mindful strategies that we're going to look at is mindful movements. So as I mentioned, mindfulness can be practiced in any part of our day. If you recall in the first class, I asked you to try to recall your morning, whether you had coffee, how much cream and sugar you may have put in, what noises you heard, what was the first thing you did when you woke up, or how about your drive, your commute to and from work, putting on your seatbelt, things like that. Be present in each moment of the day. Remember, mindful movements can be sending emails. You can be mindful as you send an email. That means your mind's not racing on 20 different things as you're sending that email. It could be done as you go walk to your car to and from work. Just be present in the moment throughout each day. So it really involves paying attention to your surroundings and all your senses, your movements, the breathing in our body. Be really cognizant of what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, all these things as we go throughout our movements. So our mind's not ruminating in the future. It's not ruminating in the past. We're not worried. We're not having this angst that we typically do have. And then ditch those distractions, cell phones, angst about that future and past, stress about our job or home. Leave that there. It's always going to be there. And you stressing about it is only hurting yourself. So practicing mindfulness each day really helps lower that stress and that anxiety. So some examples of mindful movements, mindful walking. If you live in Jacksonville, Jacksonville has one of the largest park systems in the United States, and Gainesville has some great park systems as well. Get out in nature. You can bring your phone, but keep it in your pocket. Go out in nature. What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you see? Go out for a walk just with no real, you don't have like a time limit that you need to be back. You don't have, you're not worrying about different things. Just go out and be in nature. It's the best way to practice mindfulness. And it's an easy way to do it as well. Yoga and Tai Chi, great exercises. I really wish I were better at yoga, but I think it's tremendously helpful. It's all about your breathing, being mindful of your movements and your flexibility. Same with Tai Chi. Even simple things like desk exercises. Maybe you're being mindful that part of your body may be sore or aching, and you need to do a desk exercise to really focus on that type of or that part of your body. So being mindful as you're doing those exercises really goes a long way. And we have a lot of these activities available to you on demand on the Gator Care website, as well as the Jacksonville Wellness Bridge page. So the Gator Care one does not live behind the firewall, so you can access those at home. There's stringed exercises, Tai Chi, yoga classes, all those types of things that you can practice these mindful movements in. Another practice we're looking at is body scan, and this really is tremendously helpful for any of us that may have problems falling asleep at night. Sleep, as I mentioned, huge component to our health. I think it's often overlooked as a crucial component to our health. But body scan is preferably done lying down. So I recommend doing this as you're trying to fall asleep at night. Maybe turn off that TV if you're struggling falling asleep, and just lie down, and you're basically scanning your body from your head to your toe mentally, right? You're just visualizing any tension or stress that might be in your body as you go from your head to your toe, and be cognizant of the breaths that you're taking. This aids in improving our sleep. It also helps bring attention to parts of our body that may be causing us pain that we may have been neglecting because we're going 24/7 at full speed all the time. So this gives us a chance to slow down, really pay attention to the needs of our body, and it'll help improve our sleep as well. So to begin this practice, like I said, you'll lie down in a comfortable position in bed. I want you just close your eyes, and you'll start at the top of your head. So you want to take some, as you'll hear me mention in the meditation today, you're going to be taking belly breaths. So an easy way to do this is just to put your hand on top of your belly, That's where your breath should be coming from. When we're stressed and we need that quick supply of oxygen, our breathing quickens and it comes from the chest. So those quick chest breaths. We don't want that. We want those deep belly breaths coming from the diaphragm. So you just close your eyes and focus on the top of your head while you're calmly breathing, and pay attention to any feelings or tension in any part of the body as you mentally scan your body downward. And you'll visualize, what you'll do is if you find any tension at any point in your body, you visualize that tension leaving your body. Now, oftentimes, not only with body scan, but with meditation, a lot of people get frustrated because their mind starts to wander. And they get frustrated and they think, I can't focus on this. I'm just trying too hard. That's often, a lot of times they'll give up, and that's not what we want. So as you'll hear me say in meditation, you just gently bring your mind back to the center. Don't worry if you're going to get distracted. Your mind's going to race. It's going to happen until you practice and practice and practice. It's going to happen, but as you practice more, you'll see that happen a lot less than you're used to. So obviously, you don't want to get frustrated. You just gently bring your mind back to center and start your breathing again and mentally scanning and calming your body down, calming your mind down so you're able to really relax and eventually fall asleep. Now, I want to go ahead and turn this over to John Brenenberg. Like I said, we're going to talk about mindful eating. So John, take it away.
All right, thank you, Nick. Yes, so today we're going to talk a little bit about the mindful eating process and just kind of building on what Nick had talked about. And simply stated, we're applying mindfulness to everything that we do, and probably one of the most significant things that we might overlook is the lack of awareness about our food choices. So basically, mindful eating is employing all of our physical and our emotional senses to really focus on that experience of the food choices that we make. And the premise of mindful eating is one to really just remove the judgment about any type of foods that are selected, and really to promote a more enjoyable meal experience and a real improved understanding of the eating environment. Really kind of checking in with the body during the eating process and understanding what's going on. Now, you'll see there on the slide, it's described as process oriented rather than outcome driven. So if we look at special dietary patterns such as a ketogenic diet or intermittent fasting diet, each of those types of approaches to eating are outcome driven, and primarily the outcome typically is going to revolve around amount of weight lost, or maybe it's blood sugar measurement or some other type of outcome. With mindful eating, it's more about the process of eating and not so tied to specific outcomes. So how you eat, when you eat, why you eat, what you're actually doing during that process. So many of us, as you can see on that picture there, are engaging in the opposite of mindful eating. Our interconnected society where there's always something to do, always something to focus our attention on. The purpose of mindful eating is to essentially refocus attention on the task at hand, and that is the food that we're eating, where it came from, how do we feel when we eat it, did we actually have enough, and that in turn can possibly help improve overall healthy eating behaviors. Now, if we go to the next slide, there has been a handful of studies done on mindful eating as it relates to weight management, because obviously as a practicing dietitian, we are looking at outcomes just to see how different types of approaches to nutrition paradigms can maybe influence certain outcomes. And the research does show a correlation between people who engage in mindful eating behaviors and experiencing weight loss. But like any type of eating approach, whether it's process driven or outcome driven, there tends to be some leveling off in weight loss. And a lot of the studies that have been done on mindful eating really haven't shown a significant impact on a person's overall weight that's lost. What we instead see are changes to eating behaviors, the types of foods that are selected, and not so much with weight loss. And that's not because of the lack of data, it's just because of the study design. I did a little bit more digging and I found a pretty good randomized trial that I just put in the chat there that looked at 80 state employees, and basically half of these employees were involved in a mindful eating program, the other half were not. And at the end of 15 weeks, those that were involved in that mindful eating program lost about 4 pounds more than those that were not. Now, again, very short study, but there is reason to be hopeful if we're looking at mindful eating as it relates to weight management. But again, there also needs to be some other type of additional behavior looked at when we look at overall impact on health. But again, a lot of times as a dietitian, we're asked about how does this influence our cholesterol, our blood sugar, our weight? And again, there is a correlation between weight loss and mindful eating, but we still need to learn a little bit more. If we go to the next slide, I want to share with you what I think is probably the most important concept when we look at mindful eating. And that is really asking yourself the central question, why are you eating? Okay. Are you eating because of hunger? Are you eating because you had a challenging day at work? Are you eating because you see somebody else eating? That is the central question. We always want to figure out, okay, why am I eating what I eat right now? The other question to ask, and just like the cycle reads, is, when are you eating? Are you eating just because it's the time on the clock? Are you physically hungry? Are you going through some emotions right now? What do you eat? We look at all the factors that influence our food choices. So are we eating because it's convenient, because of the taste, because it makes us feel good, or we're focused on certain nutrients? And then how do you eat? Is your eating rushed? Are you eating while you're in the middle of a Zoom class about mindful eating? Are you distracted? Are you focused on other tasks? How are you eating right now? And then that leads into how much are you eating? Is it dictated by the size of the container, the size of the plate? Are you paying attention to actual physical fullness? And then lastly, where is this energy going after you have your meal? How do you feel? Do you feel invigorated? Do you feel sluggish? These are all the important questions that we look at when we're getting started with mindful eating. But really, it's about just kind of checking in with your body and see, are you actually hungry? Is it time to eat? Have you had enough? And by pausing, savoring each bite, enjoying the food that's placed in front of us, that enables us to slow down and really focus on being more mindful. And I think it's a very underrated concept when we look at the impact on health and well-being. And I think that's why it can be a very favorable complement to a variety of eating programs. Just really understanding that, why am I eating the food that I eat, and am I truly hungry? So always checking in with ourselves. And sometimes if it's other reasons besides physical hunger, we need to address those other emotions first. If it's stress and anxiety and things of those, we want to address those with other ways besides food itself. So the next question is, how do we get started? So if we look at the next slide, there's a lot of different ways you can get started with mindful eating. Going from not doing it at all to, pausing and asking yourself each of those questions in that cycle is quite a step. But maybe just start with one meal a day where you're checking in with your body a little bit more closely. You could also do something very simple. Instead of eating at your desk, go to an actual table, a table in the break room or a table in the kitchen, wherever you're eating your meals. You try to make sure that it's at a spot that's dedicated to food, not behind the wheel of a car, not at the desk. Engage all of your senses. Take a look at the color, the texture, the aroma. Here you can see that picture. That's a typical stock photo for mindful eating. You don't have to go that extreme. I think your friends will look at you like, what are you doing? But the idea here is just to really pay attention at the colors, the textures, how it smells. Ask yourself, how did the food get here? Where did this come from? Who made it? Maybe expressing a little bit more gratitude as far as the meal that's placed in front of you. Again, all of these things are ways that you're just checking in with your body, which is the whole overarching concept for mindfulness. And some other behavioral tricks is, switching to a non-dominant hand and, putting your fork down between bites. Again, just making you check in a little bit more closely and extending that meal time, which can in turn help increase that savoring. And we've seen that the more we find that food fills us up, the longer we can delay eating again. And if we look at, again, some of those outcomes as it relates to weight loss, I think that's based on that whole process of checking in with ourselves and asking ourselves, are we truly hungry? But again, just some ways to kind of get started with mindful eating. I do think it's a very underrated task at hand. And again, it may not be effective as a weight loss strategy on its own if that's what you're looking for, but it can be a very good complement to other weight loss programs. And thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, John, and always informative. And I've definitely taken some of his advice to hand, like switching to my non-dominant. I've always been a fast eater, so switching to my non-dominant hand, being aware of each bite, taking a moment to actually savor it. I've noticed I eat a lot less now. I don't eat as much. I'm not overeating where I feel that sluggish. I feel real sluggish after I eat and just eat. I can't do anything besides sit down. So definitely take some of these tips at hand. They're super useful. So thank you again, John. And now we're going to turn our attention to mindful meditation. And if you look at the definition of mindful meditation, you'll notice that it's very similar to what is mindfulness. So it's a type of meditation in which you focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment without interpretation or judgment. The idea here is you're being aware of everything that's going on with your body, everything you're feeling, you're sensing, you're envisioning, without judging yourself, without getting frustrated, without getting stressed. And when we really do that, when we really engage in our mindfulness and meditation and our breathing and our deep breathing, what we see is we have reduced rumination. So obviously, we're not stirring over our thoughts of negative thoughts of our past or our future, going over every different scenario possible in our head as we're meditating. We see reduced rumination as we practice meditation. We also see reduced stress and anxiety. If you remember the study I shared with you in the first class, the military group that practiced mindfulness meditation, even during the highest stress environment in their life, right before deployment into war, those that practiced mindfulness meditation had reduced stress and a boosted memory recollection. So obviously boosted memory, as we focus intensely on the present moment, we're able to recall a lot better, have a better memory, and have that reduced stress. We also increase our focus. Again, mindfulness, focusing, being able to focus on the present moment, being engaged in our day-to-day activities. We also have decreased emotional reactivity, meaning we're less likely to be irritable, less likely to have that blow-up moment where just something really, it's just the straw that broke the camel's back or something that really just set us off. And then the other component of meditation that's really beneficial is increased relationship satisfaction. So you'll start to see that you're engaged with your partner, or whether it be your friends or your coworkers, you see that you're a little less judgmental, you're a little more open, you're engaged in the conversations, and that's really what mindfulness is all about. So some common mistakes when we talk about meditation, obviously trying too hard, you've already heard me mention it. Having a set goal in mind too. Remember those lofty expectations that we may set for ourselves as a stressor. So when you go into meditation, don't have a goal in mind. Your goal is just to meditate. That is it. And don't have this goal in mind that you want to feel a certain way afterwards, because if you don't feel that way after one time, you're more likely to become frustrated and give up. And so when you listen to those distractions, you become frustrated, ultimately you give up, and that's not what you want to do. Your mind is going to wander. If you haven't meditated before, if you do it, sparingly here or there, your mind's going to wander, and that's okay, because it's bound to happen. As we practice more and more, obviously that becomes less of a common problem or a common mistake that we may have. But again, you just gently bring your mind back to center. So what I want you to do now is go ahead and think of a word or a short phrase. So nothing more than 4 words, 1 to 4 words that you can ingrain, visualize in the center of your mind. And I want you to visualize putting it in the center of your brain. And you're going to use that word or short phrase throughout this meditation. So at any point in time, if your mind starts to get distracted and you start thinking about, all the things you have to accomplish at work still today, or, well, when I get home, I have to cook dinner, I have to do these chores, I have to, pick up the kids. You're not thinking about that. You're fully immersing yourself in the moment. So when you're doing this meditation, I want you to really visualize everything that you're feeling, your body's feeling, anything that you may be sensing. And if at any point in the meditation, your mind starts to wander, just remember that short phrase or that word that you have ingrained in your mind. It could be something as simple as relaxation, calm, peace, any type of short phrase, something that's easy for you to remember, and you ingrain that in your brain. And as you get distracted, you just remember that word or short phrase and bring your attention back to the practice at hand. All right, and before we begin, just want you to do some simple stretches. It's very important to stretch before and after you meditate. So maybe just do some torso twists if you're at your desk. Make sure you do some neck rolls. Just get any little irritation or discomfort out of your body. Make sure that if you're sitting down, preferably sitting down or laying down if you're at home. Make sure that your feet are flat on the floor if you are sitting down. Your legs and your arms aren't crossed. Anything that could lead to discomfort, we want to get rid of. So as we're going through this meditation, we don't want you to feel discomforted. It should be a very relaxing activity, and that's the idea behind this. So what I want you to do now is go ahead and put your hand on your belly. And this is where, like I said, this is where your breath should be coming from. So when you take a deep breath in, I want you to take a deep breath in for a count of 4. And then I want you to exhale for a count of 5. So your deep breath in should be coming in through your nose, and your exhale should be coming out through your mouth. All right, so you'll take a deep breath in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out for a count of 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, great. Just do some little shoulder shrugs, get any tension out again, and do one more for me. Deep breath in through your nose. 3, 4, and out through your mouth. 3, 4, 5. All right, perfect. Now what I want you to do now is just simply close your eyes. You do not have to worry about breathing in for 4 or out for 5. Just make sure your breaths are coming from your belly. Close your eyes, get in a relaxed position, and just listen to the sound of my voice and visualize and notice anything that you're sensing as we go throughout this. Begin now by visualizing yourself on a beautiful, pristine beach. It is a pleasant, sunny day, yet not too hot. You feel a nice, cool breeze. You feel the sun warming and energizing your skin. You hear the waves gently lapping on the sand. You allow yourself to be at one with nature. You are completely alone on the beach and feel completely safe. You reach down and take off your shoes and place them on a towel on the sand. The grains beneath your feet feel warm and energize you as you walk along the beach. You hear the faint sound of seagulls in the air, which adds to your tranquility. You begin walking towards the water and walk along the shore where the water meets the sand. The sand feels soft and cool, and the air is fresh and clean. You allow any tension in your body to melt away. all the cares, all the worries, all the stresses of your day are gradually eroding away. You take a deep, slow breath in and exhale gently. Again, taking another deep breath in and exhaling gently. You feel the elements and life force from nature, restoring your energy levels and sense of calm. Visualize in your mind any place you may be holding tension in your body, any aches or pains, and visualize them gradually softening and releasing. As the water ebbs and flows on the shore, so do all of your worries and tiredness and stresses ebb and flow away. You are feeling completely serene and at peace on the beach. As a wave comes to shore, you look down and see a bottle by your feet. You reach down and pick up the bottle. As you hold it in your hand, you notice that it has been sealed with a cork and that there is a note inside. You loosen the cork and reach in with your fingers to pull out a piece of paper. You unfold it and read the message out loud. It says, "If you are reading these words, know that you are receiving this message at the right time and the right place. Know that you are special and loved eternally. You are here at this time and at this place to help the people and planet heal. Never doubt or forget how special you are." Overjoyed with emotion, you feel someone else should discover this bottle. You fold the note and place it back in. You reseal it with a cork, and with your best throw, you heave the bottle back into the ocean. You begin to walk back up to the beach and sit down in your chair, gazing out at the pristine water ahead of you. Although now it is time to leave this meditation, take with you this sense of calm and relaxation. When you feel ready, gently bring your awareness back to your body and the room that you are in. You give your arms, your legs, your fingers, toes a stretch. And when you feel ready, gently open your eyes, coming back to waking consciousness. I hope you all enjoyed that. I always enjoy meditation. Like I said, it is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. It's helped me through stress and anxious times. So definitely something that I continue to use. And when I just recently got my certification, probably about a year ago, as a meditation instructor. So it's definitely something relaxing. But the best thing about meditation to me is not only does it relax you, but it kind of gives you this renewed sense of energy to really take on the day. And if you didn't feel the full benefits of it from day one, or this is your first time, obviously the more you practice, you're really going to see these come to fruition. So anytime you're facing immense stress or anxiety, remember just to take a calm break where you can just really use that calm, take some deep couple breaths, even if it's not for that 10 minutes, something that you can really take with you and use throughout your day. Now, if you're just getting started on the meditation journey, there's a ton of different apps out there. These are just some of them. You can use whichever one works for you. I do highly recommend, if you're just beginning on your meditation journey, try Headspace. They use a lot of science-backed guidance as they take you along your meditation journey. Now, a lot of them will ask you to subscribe to a membership. By all means, you do not have to do that. There are free meditations we have available on our website, as well as the Gator Care website. So please make sure to utilize those. You can find ones on YouTube, and you don't have to use guided meditation. Like I said, just doing some deep breathing exercises on your own. Remember just those common tips of being comfortable and stretching, and make sure that your feet are flat on the floor, and you have that, mantra that you want to put in the center of your brain. All these things can help with you as you go along your meditation journey. And after each meditation, as I've done guided meditations, I always like to leave everyone with a quote, something to really take with them for the day. And it comes from my favorite philosopher named Alan Watts. And he says, no amount of anxiety makes any difference to anything that is going to happen. Think about that. No amount of anxiety, no matter how much we ruminate, how many different expectations we have, how many different scenarios we replay over and over in our minds, no matter how much we stress about something or be anxious about something, it's not going to make any difference to anything that's going to happen. All we're doing is putting that on ourselves. And remember, we have the power, we have the control over that. So remember, just choose one thought over another. And mindful bites, something that I always want to leave you with. And as I mentioned in the first class, we do have these mindfulness-based cards that are available for you. We just got them in. So if you are in the Jacksonville campus, and you can make it over to our wellness center, you can pick up some of these mindfulness cards to take with you. I've been sharing with you one a day, but there's a good number of cards in there, great information. So they are free to you if you're in the Jacksonville area and stop by our wellness center, come up, pick it up. It's free to you to have as a perk of being in this program. If you're in the Gainesville office, we can definitely share you the link. It's not expensive if you're interested in purchasing them on your own. But today's mindful bite is about letting go. So we're always carrying something. Sometimes it's the idea that we should be a certain way, or a memory of when a close friend has let us down, or our view of how everyone around us should behave. While holding views and opinions is not intrinsically bad, each one weighs us down in its own way, limiting what we can do and how we can be. So spend a few minutes reflecting on a particular burden you're carrying and play with what it might be like to let it go. And then let it go. Just like those potatoes, the rotten potatoes that we talked about, where we inscribe names on them, you just carry that baggage. It's only hurting yourself, right? It's only hurting us, our own health. So just simply let it go. Like I said, these cards are awesome. I do fully endorse them, and feel free to stop by in Jacksonville Wellness Office during normal business hours. We're usually here from 8 till about 4:30. So Monday through Friday. So feel free to stop by anytime then, and we can make sure to get you your mindfulness-based cards. As a reminder, try to incorporate at least one of the mindfulness strategies that we talked about here today. If not, you can do a couple more, but meditation, body scan, mindful movements, mindful eating, any of the different activities we discussed today. See if you can insert them into your daily lives to really reap the rewards of mindfulness. Remember that we do have recorded meditations available not only on our Wellness Bridge page, but also on the Gator Care page, as well as stream yoga, Tai Chi, and fitness classes that you can use. Remember to keep updating your gratitude journal. And if you haven't written a letter of gratitude to someone, highly suggest doing it. You'll really see the feel-good feelings that you get from being grateful and sharing that with someone. Remember, sharing it with others really helps us savor more too. And then next week is our final class. We'll be talking about resiliency and helping build some of our SMART goals for mindfulness. and to carry with you after this session ends. So on the next slide, remember we have our assessment. So on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll have today's assessment where you can just hover your camera on your phone over that and it should pop up a link. If you missed last week's assessment, it's on the right-hand side of the screen. We will send out an email with a copy of this presentation, as well as a link to complete the assessment. So by all means, you don't have to complete it right now. We'll make sure to send that out either later today or first thing tomorrow. So I'll hang around if there are any questions, but thank you all for joining again, and we look forward to seeing you one more time next week. Thank you.